But other than that, anything else you had to highlight?
You give to me a reel about Rick Ross dipping down on
Oh, yeah. He left 85 South Show, Rick Ross, and he never came back. And DC, is it DC Young Fly?
yeah,
DC
yeah.
DC Young Fly had a problem with it. And we didn't know he had a problem with it at first, but it's something he talked about recently where he had a problem with Rick Ross leaving. And I remember when it happened, he said he had to take a phone call and he left. But I thought that show just kind of like moved on with it. But then um, it came up recently, I guess, on an episode. DC Young Fly mentioned how much that bothered him to have someone leave the show like that, didn't apologize to leave no reason why really, and then he goes on a white podcast and he gives them all his time, all his attention, and he said that they didn't show him the love and the grace that 85 South showed him because when he was on 85 South, they treated him like a popular black figure, but on the podcast with the white boys, they kind of like went for like so you were you really a cop? Shit like that. And DC Young Fly was like, man, we would never ask you no shit like that because we know that's not what you want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? We know that's your past. We know that's something you moved on from. So you don't give us that same respect or grace, but you give them white people the same grace. So it brought up a bigger issue of how black celebrities tend to treat black media outlets, black outlets, period. Because we talked about this on previous episode. Uh, you don't see Beyonce, Jay Z at the BET Awards the same way you would see them at the Grammys,
Hmm.
or you don't see them uh, doing breakfast clubs, doing things like that. But then Beyonce should do an interview with Vogue. It's not really an interview.
An op-ed. Op-ed. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, it's an
I'll come for me if you
op-ed,
want, but it's an
right?
op-ed. Now
No, it is an op-ed.
I'll defend that. I'll down that hill because
No, it is. It literally is an op-ed. So,
mm,
but she give that to Essence, the publication. No.
mm.
So it's an interesting conversation to have.
Well, I
And
was, but to be fair, she did go to Essence for Sacred. You know,
she did what?
for the hairline, she did go to Essence for that. Whole thing, the whole rollout. So I'll give her. I'll say that.
I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, so
She could
yeah,
have chose something
yeah,
else, but
yeah.
I'm sure that was strategic.
Yeah, of
But
course. I mean, the black women hair. Yeah. So yeah.
right. But it made me think about how black celebrities in particular, treat black media outlets, and it's like sometimes I get it. Sometimes black media can have certain a kind of chitlin circus feel, but also you have to just do your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need that demographic, them the ones who really kind of had your back. And we always know we've been told that well, the white people gonna spend the money. They got the money. You go to the shows, you go to whatever the outlets. That's who's getting the most exposure, who's really pushing your brand forward. But I'm just like, well, can't you do both? And can't you do both with the same level of respect? You know? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think what the Rick Ross thing was I think it was where I probably hurt his feelings. DC Young Fly's feelings just is the blatant disrespect. It's like you say I'm going to the bathroom, you just never come back, and not only you never come back, you go to this other podcast where, like he said, not only do they you go to them and give them all your time, but they don't respect your time. They seem to be asking questions about you being a
yeah,
corrections officer. Like
right.
they basically sitting there cackling in your face and you just smiling along because you
Mm,
looking like a
because you
fool.
just right,
Where over here you respect it.
right. But I think black celebrities tend to treat black outlets, especially the media outlets, with that type of y'all gonna always be there. Like,
Or
uh,
they don't count. They don't count until I need something. I.e. Jonathan Majors in his
right,
redemption tour. You know, when I need to be
right.
redeemed, when I need to when the white folks have cast me out. Now I'm gonna come to the black media I'm gonna come home, quote unquote, to reinvent myself or reingratiate myself with black folks. When really could do the whole. I always say this. Well, actually, I'll take it from somebody else who said it. If Michael Jackson could go to the Soul Train Awards, y'all niggas ain't got no excuse.
When was that? When did he go?
Dangerous era.
Oh
Before,
yeah.
do you remember the time? Because he heard his knee or something. He was sitting down the whole time. The crowd was losing his mind.
who the
But if Michael and
who said that? Oh, you said that.
an acquaintance of mine said it.
Okay.
But I'm just paraphrasing. Like if you know if Michael Jackson at the peak of his fame, because I would say through Jane Dangerous, he probably was the most famous person in the world.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, because that
so
was around the time of the Super Bowl performance too,
right,
right? The
if
halftime
Mike
show. Oh yeah,
if Michael could go to the Soul Train Awards, y'all niggas can go. Y'all ain't got no excuse.
right. So yeah, man, it's just about showing that love, returning that love.
It's a self-defeating thing where people say, "Oh, BET or whatever, they you know they garbage," and then when they try to elevate and the big artists don't show up, it's like, well, the big artists don't show up, so when they ain't worth tuning in like it's what is for the Grammys. Then you go over to the Grammys, it's like, well, the Grammys don't give us our due every year, so we mad about it. Like it's a cycle. It's like y'all know they don't they can give it up to the to Beyonce or to whoever y'all wanted to give it up to. And you know, all these thinking pieces about it get upset every year. Yet you treated BET was like a redheaded stepchild when they're the ones who will give the our letters our flowers.
Mm,
It, you know, the grant the Oscars aren't Jimmy Fox like that.
no,
You know, maybe if he he's about to die.
even then
Knock on wood, it won't be for a long time. But you know what I mean?
right,
Like
but
Like
no,
Angela Bassett.
he would get a video package, and that would be it.
A lifetime achievement
Versus,
Grammy. I mean,
yeah,
Oscar.
yeah,
Which
he's
means
not getting that.
yeah,
He would have to be fucking 80 years old to get that
mhm.
shit. You
Yeah.
know?
They're not gonna pay homage to the girl groups like Alicia Keys did one year. Like SWV in Vogue and
No. Or Al
TLC.
Green. Give
Right.
Al Green a lifetime. They ain't gonna do
You,
no shit like that.
right. You won't get Michael Jackson dance with James Brown at the Grammys. Well, you know what I mean. Like he won't. Those moments
Right.
have to happen in the culture. And I get. I mean, I'm not. Obviously, I'm not in any of those artist positions. They probably are thinking about various things like if I go here, I can secure this deal. I can do this. I can do that. And in terms of like how their career move forward. But you know, you can't forget the core audience that supported you in the first place. Like before, when award shows was pronounced Beyonce, she was getting love from the black folks. I'm old to remember that. Before Kendrick broke out with Timber Butterfly and all the Pure Supplies winning stuff, he was at BET in the Cipher. You know,
Hmm.
he was this year's award show. So I guess that means that if BET, I would say for all whatever you want to say about BET, they're not particularly black owned like they were for the majority of the 80s, 90s. It's like they have tried to take steps to upgrade the production value of the shows to do better, to modernize what they do, their approach. So, for artists who try to beat the man wage, show up.
Right.
Give the same energy to the BET Awards, to the Soul Train Awards, or to these black venues that you would to a Grammys or to an Oscars or whatever. Because I
I
mean,
agree.
really, the stars make it. I mean, that's why people watch. I mean, they ain't watching really for the awards; they watch it for the people they want to
Yeah,
see.
they watch it for the performances. They watch it for the pageantry. They're not watching to see. No one gives a fuck about the awards, really. Unless you have a situation where this past year the BET Awards with the gospel category.
Mhm.
Uh, but the awards are just they kind of like background. It's not the same forever as the Grammys with album of the year and all that shit.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad Beyonce won that fucking award because it was getting so sad on her fans. To every fucking year, put yourselves with that punishment of waiting to see some shit that wasn't gonna happen. And to be real, she made that album sound the way it sounded so she could appease them white people. And then they was like, "Damn, girl, here." But
And then they changed the category.
right, because next year, even if whatever Act Three does drop, if she is nominated, she ain't getting another one. Uh, but yeah, it's just because it's also interesting too because you know who's in the room making those decisions on who gets an award. I mean, you might not know them by name, but you know it's black people in those rooms. When you do this Grammy Album of the Year shit, you don't know who's in those rooms. We don't even know the category. We don't even know why they picked the albums for Album of the Year. We don't know why they picked the ones that should win. It's always just a bunch of random people that who have no faces. We don't know nothing. We don't know the race. We don't know none of that shit. Who choose this Album of the Year? But with the BET Awards, or Soul Train Awards, it's a room full of niggas. And they probably picking who's the most popular, who's who's been good to us, who's been good to the industry. You know what I'm saying? It's that type of shit, and I could support that more than an award show that has shown you since its inception that they only fuck with y'all when it's convenient. When it's because they have to, or it's because they want y'all there, or they be like, all right, damn, here nigga damn award. You
Yeah.
know. But it was an interesting topic I saw. It made me think like, damn, like that is real. Like it's a fair criticism. Why do so many black stars and celebrities tend to shun black outlets and black media, and then show up for white people when the white people they kind of just they want to put niggas on the hot seat. They want to make them feel uncomfortable. They want to ask the quote unquote hard questions, but it's kind of making a joke out of you or making you just appear to be not qualified to even be there. It's like the white people trying to figure out. So what made this Negro so special? And what's your tick? What's
Mhm.
your tag?
What's
So
your
it's like,
deal,
yeah,
man?
yeah, yeah. It's like I get it, and I get why some people would avoid something like the Breakfast Club because they sometimes tend to sometimes they can get a little too what's the word, exploitive. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
they kind of want to get sensational. So I can see why
Hmm.
somebody like a Jay-Z might avoid the Breakfast Club because you got to deal with Charlemagne thinking he Barbara Walters when he's just really being annoying. And now you got Just Hilarious on there. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of get it
It's like
now
making
because
her mission to talk about trans shit all the damn
oh
time,
yeah,
girl. You are so damn educated, uneducated, and
right,
because that's why Lady Vanee had to gather your ass politely. Talking about,
right. And she
yeah,
was still being
continue.
stubborn. Yeah, but she
Right.
and she and
That
yeah,
that's
she was still
what
being
that's
stubborn.
that's what frustrated me about them is like they'll have a T.S. Madison on, a Laverne Cox on, Janet Mock on to answer all the questions and say all the things, and they're taking like, oh. The next day they be on some bullshit.
Right. And we also need those people to stop. And I'm not necessarily judging. I'm not victim blaming, but it's gonna have to come to a point to where they have to stop going to these shows that when they're there, they nod in your head and act like they get it, but then when you leave, they being transphobic or being homophobic or being just nasty people afterwards. It's like they're on their best behavior when you're there just to get you on the show. Then when you leave, they doing shit where it's like, I mean,
Or
damn, I
they
was just there.
right, they have the Duvall on talking about something he'll kill basically kill a trans woman and just be like
Oh,
cackling or not along or whatever. I remember exactly what they said, but it was something dealing with violence, basically. With Lil Duval. That was years ago. But yeah, they'll have to something like that happen, and then they won't say anything. You know,
man, that's
I don't,
crazy. Yeah.
I don't know if it was that extreme, but it was something. It was something that was like, yeah, I ain't gonna say
Yeah, but something
nothing.
something not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Consider that the violence that
Mm,
trans women face. And you don't play with shit like that.
mm.
But yeah, it was just an interesting topic. I thought worth discussing because we have to find. I think eventually there's gonna have to be a balance to where, like, people like to talk about being authentically black and being black is so dope and all that, but it's like y'all say all that, but then y'all only want to be black when it's to make money. Or y'all only want to use black people when it's to make money.
One thing is just I mean we all been indoctrinated with this idea that white is superior or better or like or it's like you're famous when white boys know who you are, that whole
The
thing.
crossover
Right,
appeal.
the crossover. That's the whole basis of a lot of movies like Temptations movie or the Supremes. There's a whole thing of them crossover into to the quote mainstream. Who was the
Mm,
mainstream? White folks. Somebody's unsung. What does that mean? White folks didn't know who they were. So it's not surprising really that Rick Ross would do that or the other artists throughout. Other major black artists throughout. The decades have sometimes at times maybe shunned or like shied away from doing black press in favor of period of certain outlets or whatever because we've been all taught that you really made it when you're on the cover of Rolling Stone, not when you're on Vibe. You really made it when
mm,
you won a Grammy, not a Soul Train Award. You really made it when you won a Oscar, not a NAACP award for Best Actress or whatever. We're not taught to value our things or see them as equal to theirs.
mm. Right. Very much so. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that's how people think and operate. Um, but with that being said, man, niggas do better. Do better.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
like
keep
I
it
said,
rolling.
it's it's indoctrination, so it can be hard to shape. But I think you just gotta be intentional or be aware of like how you maybe be used by these outlets that you think are so prestigious. You know.
Right, because they definitely using your ass because they get Beyonce to come to that motherfucker every year. I don't think she's missed the Grammys, or if she did, maybe she was on tour or pregnant.
Mm.
But when's the last time you think you just didn't see Beyonce at the Grammys versus when she was ever? When's the last time you seen her at the BET Awards? And I know people will be like, "Damn, he picking on Beyonce," but it's like Beyonce is
She's
just
the biggest. Yeah, she's the
yeah, she's the
biggest.
biggest. So it's like it's unfortunate, but it becomes almost a responsibility to be present when black people gather to celebrate blackness versus you showing up for the Grammys just so you can finally get this lifetime achievement award, uh, or whatever the fuck.
Okay,
I just I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it was
Yeah,
though. It
but
was like,
yeah.
oh, like, huh, bitch, damn. Okay. And but the crazy thing about this, you had to put on a cowboy hat, wave the flag, and you had to do all that shit to finally get that album.
And that's, I would say with anyone who, well, yeah, I'm gonna say with anyone who isn't, a straight white man, you gotta do that dance to a degree. Because I said it before, I'll say it again. The reason why I think part of the reason why Madonna won for Ray of Light is because she coupled up and she became a mother. You
Mm.
know, there were no comb bras. It was no hitchhiking naked in the street, no dancing on the burning crosses. It just was like, I'm a mother now. I'm subdued. I'm to Kabbalah. And the album she made, even for all its being electronic, it had a lot of rock elements in it. You lean to that rock shit, you get that Grammy shit.
That's
Period.
hilarious.